Every August, the village of South Seal in Devon hosts a festival celebrating traditional music and dancing, the Dartmoor Folk Festival. The festival owes its existence to a Dartmoor farmhand who is also a virtuoso melodeon player, step dancer, caller and storyteller, Bob Cam.
My grandfather, Bob Cam, started the festival in 1978.
Bob Cam, he wanted to run his own festival wherever go, bringing back all the old traditions of Dartmoor, songs, dances, step dancing, broom dancing. He said, I'd love to start one of my own.
He was already running ceilidhs and putting on acts like Dave Alford, the Bone Rattler, the Rices, Dickie Cooper step dancing, and other people as well, some singers. Charlie Hill was very much the forefront in those days, singing old Devonshire songs.
With the success of other festivals like Sidmouth, he wanted to start a festival of his own to revive and preserve the traditions of Dartmoor. Mainly the step dancing and the broom dancing, because it almost died out. The tradition almost was in his hands, you know. There wasn't really very many other people around the area still doing it.
And all of a sudden one day he turned up, he said, I've got a place where we can do it.
The first 3 festivals were at a place called Wood Country House. He knew the owner there. It's a really beautiful, big, posh place, really.
And they were happy to let us use that house inside and outside as well.
They had a big sunken lawn and people could sit around the edge of it and see everything that was going on.
He still had to fund it himself. There was no sort of grants available or other people funding the first, 2 or 3 festivals, and I'm sure he spent a lot of his own money on them, getting them set up.
He had to actually pay out of his pocket to actually put the festival on.
He realised that if he could tag on Dartmoor to the end of the Sidmouth Festival, then a lot of the people here he knew very well in the folk world, who were always every year down at Sidmouth, would also then come along, and that gave him the confidence to go ahead with it. There were no written instructions as to what people should do. It was very much, oh, muck in there, put that up, lay chairs out and things like that. There wasn't a big plan for it. It was all in Bob's head.
We didn't even have a phone. I used to send my mum down to the phone box for some money to ring up somebody. But he's sitting right letters, and everything was done by post.
We got down there on a Thursday and sussed the job, and then on the Friday we went down in the morning, and looking up over Causton Bacon, the rain was coming down, and Bill Murch, who's Rob's dad, was helping, and he said, what if nobody turns up? And I said, well, if we don't get anybody turn up, the only thing that you and I can possibly do is to stick our hands in our pockets and pay the artists.
The first Dartmoor Folk Festival was a great success, and 2 more festivals followed. But after 3 years, Bob and the newly formed committee faced the challenge of moving the festival from Wood Country House.
I think it changed hands after the 3rd year, which is then he needed a new place for it.
We looked at Chagford first, Chagford Cricket Ground, but that was a bit awkward getting in because right on the short corner was a river. And we thought if somebody got too much inebriated, they'd be ending up in there. So Bob said, I got to look for somewhere different.
So he thought, well, what better place really than the village of South Seal? It's got the recreation grounds, it's got the hall, it's got the pubs.
Well, we didn't have anything. Couldn't afford marquees or anything like that. So we tripped around and scraped together enough scaffolding to put up a makeshift tent.
And the rest of it was very much, can we borrow this, can we borrow that? We borrowed it from village halls and set it up on site, in the 2 days before.
It all happened here in the Victory Hall. So the music hall, I can remember sitting in the windowsill of the music hall, and that was it. So what was that, 200 people? And now we get 600 people in the music hall? So yeah, and now we can afford to hire in chairs, marquees, and hire in loads more equipment.
The main focus of the festival weekend is the step dancing competition.
It's the emblem of the folk festival here. It's the most important part. We've got the man on the wagon and the concertina player actually on the motif. Dancing on the 15-inch board is a tradition that is local to here. And that was always the focus that Bob had. Step dancing was probably the most important part.
The dancers take turns to show off their favourite steps on a 15-inch raised wooden board. The music, which is the same for every dancer, is played by a musician who faces away from the board to ensure they can't favour a particular dancer's style. If a dancer accidentally steps off the board during their turn, they are disqualified from the competition. The Dartmoor step dancing competition takes place over 3 rounds.
Well done!
In the final round, the best 8 to 10 step dancers are invited to dance on a farm wagon in the arena, in front of a large crowd.
It's absolutely terrifying because you're up there on the wagon, you're on this little board, everybody's watching you and your feet, the focus is totally on you, you're in a field, all these people are watching you and stuff. And I think everybody sort of just get a little bit of nerves at that point, which is great because it just makes the tension a bit more, If you can get through into that final round and get to dance on the wagon, that's brilliant.
It's got to the thing now where competition is really tough because people have shown a great interest in keeping it alive. I started learning to step dance when I was about 9 or 10. A couple of my uncles were step dancers, but they didn't enter competitions. They done it for fun, really. Might do it for a point or something like that. But you see, then it got into competition from village to village. And then there was like 5 bob involved. Then it did get serious.
Going back years ago, there used to be these village sports that happened in each of the villages. So Chagford, Windown, South Seal, they'd have these, they called them village sports, and they had skittering for a pig and welly wanging and all sorts of strange things they used to do back then. But the highlight of all those events was always the step dance competition. So back then there would have been more opportunities throughout the year to have entered the step dance competition and trying to compete against Dickie Cooper from wherever, and Archie Crocker. You can imagine this sort of rivalry going on. But obviously these days it's just the folk festival.
With the festival, it's allowed them to have workshops for the step dancing, and it's brought in lots and lots of other people to do it.
The festival's been, very, very successful at keeping these traditions going.
In perhaps 1970, there might have been perhaps half a dozen 8 step dancers who learned to do it in the 1920s, 30s. Now there are sort of perhaps 100 people around who do Dartmoor step dancing and maintain it.
We're keeping the traditions of Dartmoor with the step dance and broom dance still alive, and I think if anybody else sort of came in and sort of took over, that might just get lost because it might not be their passion. But I think it's really important. Certain places have lost all that because there's not been anybody to carry it on. And therefore the people that used to do it, now the families of those people don't do it. So it just gets lost. And we said that would have happened here, definitely. If Gramps hadn't have started it, it wouldn't be here now.
There's been a lot more interest in it. We've been promoting it more, but also I think people are interested in learning these traditions now. They sort of think, actually, no, that is important. That's something that people used to do years ago, and it is unique to this area. The Dartmoor step dances, there are similar sort of things around step dancing traditions around, but the fact that it's competition based and it's the 3 rounds and it's on the wagon and it's on a small 15-inch board and stuff, it's great. That's what Dartmoor step dancing is.
Junior Step Dance Champion 2017, Alice Knight.
Right from the very first festival, there was always a children's events at the Dartmoor Folk Festival.
You know, my granddad really encouraged children. Whenever he saw children at dances and stuff in the festival, he always wanted them to be involved, and I think he saw that they are the future.
I really love the field. You go to lots of festivals that have great children's things, but they're very much removed, they're in a corner somewhere. And I think it's lovely that at Dartmoor the children are as much involved in the music and the traditions as the adults, and I think that's really important.
We have junior step dance competitions, the broom dance competition. It's mainly for children in the school, but other children from away, they can go to the workshops in the morning and also and take part in the competition in the afternoon. And it's lovely to see. It's very visual. It's different. If you haven't seen it before, then it's really, you know, it's something that you tick off in your book saying, oh, I've seen the Dartmoor broom dance. Well, it's a real skill, and it's a skill that they're proud to be part of. I don't think, without the tradition of previous years, I don't think that would happen.
Brilliant! Well done.
A few years ago, I decided I ought to start a local session in the village. So we have once a month in the King's Arms, in the main bar of the King's Arms, we have a music session. And the main reason for starting that was because there were so many youngsters now in the village, in the area, that were starting to learn these instruments and learn the tunes and the steps and stuff like that. And I grew up going to pubs with my granddad and playing in pubs and just witnessing this step dancing and things. And I thought, well, I want them to, you know, to have that as well.
Twice I've been disqualified.
In 1990, the festival faced a crisis following the death of its founder Bob Can at the age of 73.
A huge amount of support came in when Bob died, saying, well, we've got to keep this festival going because it is so important. It's Bob's heritage and it's got to continue.
When Gramps died, Bill Murray took over the sort of booking the artists and stuff like that, and they were programming and things like that. He did that for a few years. So Bill was great really for keeping the festival going really at that period.
We did have a strong committee, strong chairman. Everybody worked together. I took over getting the guests in. I enjoyed doing it, it was great, but I don't say I was the best person to do it.
After a few years, Bill decided he wanted to give that up, and I somehow volunteered. So I've been doing that ever since.
I was so happy to pass it over to Mark and Sarah then. They came up to me at one committee meeting and maybe they were thinking, oh, Bill's not going to be happy with this. I was delighted, believe me. They were young, probably the youngest people to run a festival in the country, but they were willing and happy and very able.
Yeah, Mark and I took it on, and I would say to begin with we very much did it very, very jointly, and more recently now Mark has taken on more of the artist booking and I've moved more towards coordinating other elements of it, helping him, but actually it is easier with one person being the main person to steer that.
Sarah Baisley is also the regular caller for the Dartmoor Pixie Band, who held a ruby red ceilidh in 2017 to celebrate the 40th year of the festival.
Over the years, yeah, more and more of the family have got involved with it really.
I just feel really passionate about the family connection, and I think a lot of people said to me this weekend how it's so lovely that the family are still involved and there's no other festival like it.
Well, my nan was the president after Gramps died, and then my mum is vice president. Laura, my daughter, my eldest, this year particularly, she's really sort of wanted to get more involved, and she's been great. She's been in the festival office there doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah, and Amelia as well.
It's been something they've grown up with, but we're really fortunate that they've grown up with it and embraced it rather than resented it, because it takes over an awful lot of our time. So it's been really good that actually, rather than thinking it was the worst thing that Mum and Dad ever did, they've gone, this is brilliant, and we've got all these friends, we've got all these people that we know.
When I married Martin, he married into it really, and yet he's been so involved and so passionate about it as well. My own children, they've been involved ever since they were born. You know, Thomas was 8 months old, his first festival.
Thomas and Charlie, my nephews, Jane's boys, you know, I'm just so pleased that they've come on like they have. You know, they're playing the music, they're so enthusiastic, and well, it's the next generation that's going to keep the festival going, you know.
We've told them, this is it now, you know, you're going to be hopefully taking it on, and they're so passionate about it. And it is just it's in us, do you know what I mean?
The people that are running the festival now are second to none.
I'm very proud of the festival and how it's become, because obviously through the years I've just seen it grow and grow, and it's just amazing.
You've got to make sure that things are safe and stewarded well. So we used to run with a committee and we would do all of it, you know, 15 or 20 of us, and that wasn't enough, and 20 became 30, 30 became 40, and I think this year we were a team of 80.
It's a nice festival now. It's got as big as it can get, because obviously even though it's been going 40 years now, a lot of people think that it's got to be a big festival, you know, but it's not. We're still pretty much like a village fete, really. It's very tempting for festivals to get sort of too big and to lose track of what they're all about. And I keep reminding myself and other people as well that when we book all these fantastic artists and we're sort of concentrating on concerts and running orders and all these sorts of things, you know, we need to remember the reason we're doing this is because of the step dancing and broom dancing. That's the Saturday afternoon and the workshops in the morning and the competition in the afternoon and the wagon and all these people and all the children and stuff learning all these traditions and entering the competition and stuff. That is the focus of the festival, and that will never change. People will always come up to me and say, you know, oh, you remind me so much of your granddad, or I used to go to your granddad's dances years ago.
His presence is here. It's there. I can feel it all the time, through the children, through everything. It's just amazing.
The festival meant an awful lot to Gramps, really. I think we're keeping it going how he would have wanted it, definitely.
If he knew what it's like today, he would be sky high with praise. I'm sure he would, because it was such a humble beginning.
He would be just blown away, wouldn't he? He wouldn't be able to cope with all this technology of mine.
When you look down the list of the people, the founders of the Folk Festival, there are still a few of us around, and we can remember. We remember with absolute, well, I don't know, glee really at those early days. And then you think, well, crumbs, we've been going 40 years. And that every year has been a joy. And it goes far deeper than just the music and the song. It's the community, locally. It's meeting friends from other areas, friends from other countries. And it's really lovely to see people from away to come down to Dartmoor, this very, very sort of special place.
The festival means to me family, friends, Dartmoor, and just my life, really. And it's really difficult. I can't imagine not being part of it.
But as long as we keep the traditions of Dartmoor going, that's what we need. And that's what's important to me still. And I think the family feel the same. Well, we wouldn't be doing it, would we else?
Coombe and Tor, green meadow and lane, birds on the waving bough, beetling cliffs by the surging main, rich red loam for the plough. Devon's the font of the bravest blood that braces England's breed. Her maidens fair as the apple bud, and her men are men indeed. When Adam and Eve were dispossessed of the garden hard by heaven, they planted another one down in the west. 'Twas Devon, glorious Devon. Spirits to the old world heroes, wake by river and cove and hoe. Grenville, Hawkins, Raleigh and Drake, and 1,000 more we know. To every hand the wide world owes, and splits of the old stock roam. Loyal friends in peace, dread foes in war, with our hearts still true to home. Old England's counties by the sea, from east to west are 7. Not sure if that's true. Do you count east and west and 6? But the gem of that fair galaxy is Devon, glorious Devon. Somerset, Dorset, Cornwall, Wales must envy the likes of we. For the flower of the west, the first, the best, the pick of the bunches be. Where's squat by junket and cider brew, richest cream of the cow. What an